iRobot is the second studio album by the Alan Parsons Project. It was released on June 1st, 1997 by Arista Records. I've also seen some other sources online saying it was released in July, so I'm just going to celebrate its anniversary now, celebrating 45 years. The album was inspired by author Issac Asimov's science fiction robot series, and that was a series exploring the idea of artificial intelligence. The album was intended to be based on the iRobot series written by Asimov, and Eric Wolfson, who was actually the other main member of the band along with Alan Parsons. He spoke with Asimov, and Isaac Asimov liked the idea, but unfortunately the rights have already been given to a TV and movie company, so they had to alter the album title slightly, removing the comma in the I, and they changed the lyrics a little bit so they could be a little bit more generally about robots instead of directly about the Isaac Asimov series. So inside the album, and this is a quote I'll read, it says, iRobot, the story of the rise of the machine and the decline of man, which paradoxically coincided with his discovery of the wheel, and a warning that his brief dominance of the planet will probably end because man tried to create robot in his own image. So the album cover is pretty cool. Shows a Terminal 1 building of the Charles de Gaulle airport in Paris. And on this is a painting of a robot, and they have an atom for a brain. So the robot also appears on the label of the record. And on the original vinyl release, there's a gatefold cover. And inside it has the lyrics. And there's a photo of Alan Parsons. And the pose and angle of Alan Parsons is very similar to the robot on the front cover. So let's talk about the songs. They're mostly written by Alan Parsons and Eric Wolfson. And the songs that have vocals have different singers on them. So they'll have like Lenny Zakatek, Peter Straker, and many other singers. So the first song is an instrumental, or kind of an instrumental. It's called iRobot, because it has choir vocals throughout the song, but the purpose of the song is it creates this atmosphere of a world where robots exist in the future. Very science fiction soundtrack type of feeling to it. The song is driven by a constant bass guitar line, and it's actually kind of funky. They mix in some keyboard melodies and some funky guitar chords in the mix, but the song is mostly a song to listen to with headphones. Just sit back and enjoy the space ride. The next song, I Wouldn't Want to Be Like You. This is one of the ones I was familiar with because it was on one of his greatest hits compilations. It's very recognizable. This one has vocals, and it's a song that came out during the disco years, so I do feel it's a little bit of like a disco song, but the song in general is progressive rocks. It has the complex keyboards, and it is kind of like a pop song as well, so it's catchy, but has a really great bass guitar in it. Really good guitar solo in the middle of the song, and that one I like very much. Then there's Some Other Time. It's a ballad. I don't know if you want to call it a power ballad, even though that term is not really used much in like progressive rock music. But they go between like these soft and light verses, and then in the chorus they bring in more of like an epic sound with more orchestration. So type of song like all Alan Parsons Project songs. Lots of layers of instruments. There are rock guitar solos, lots of keyboards, and a very big and complex sound. And another very good song. Then there's Breakdown. This is straightforward rock. The vocals are very good. They incorporate choir vocals, like they had on the first song. It's catchy, has a nice sound. They incorporate elements of funk, and like most of the songs, there are lots of instruments, some interesting guitar solos, and overall, it's a good song. Don't Let It Show. It's a type of song that, at first it's like it's typical like 70s soft rock ballad, very radio friendly. Starts with like the church organ and the soft singing, and the type of song, it just builds as it progresses. They incorporate more instruments as the song moves along. They add more orchestration, more guitars, more drums, and just a very good song. It's like soft rock, but it's also very like a progressive rock song as well. So if you have the vinyl record, that would be the first side. Now the second side starts with the voice. Very different. Has an overall sound very futuristic, very science fiction oriented. It's like, in a sense, you get this sound. They incorporate a lot of different styles, and they do it very discreetly. So I would say, like, for example, the song is mostly a progressive rock song, but the vocals do have like a slight reggae music feel. The song is driven by a repetitive bass guitar riff and is very catchy as the song goes on. And it actually like evolves into like a disco song almost. You know, like I said, this came out during the disco years, and there are a lot of different instruments mixed in, a lot of orchestration. It's another song they just take a lot and they mix it together and they make it work very well. Then there's an instrumental called Nucleus. Not too long, only like 3 minutes long, but just very ambient, very atmospheric, spacey. It's trippy, makes you feel like you're floating when you listen to it. They add in these little sound bites of different instruments playing little short melodies, but that's pretty much all I could say about it. The song is basically an extended intro of the next song because the two songs are kind of like fused together. They kind of like go right into each other. So the next song, Day After Day, The Show Must Go On. This one continues with that atmospheric and ambient tone of the previous song, but this is a song with vocals. Reminds me a lot of like a Pink Floyd type of song. Like they incorporate some guitars. The guitars are mixed kind of low, but they do have almost like a country music type of feel in the riff. But that doesn't really overpower the song. It just still retains this progressive rock feel, that like sci-fi space feel. And it's just very mellow, relaxing, and a 4-minute song, so it's really good. Then there's Total Eclipse. It's a 3-minute long song, but it's actually kind of scary. I mean, you could use this in like a horror movie or maybe like a sci-fi horror movie. You listen to it, you just picture like what's going on, you know. Creates a lot of like anxiety listening to it. It's the type of song, I would call it an instrumental, but it does have those like choir vocals that are just like very creepy, maybe the kind like you hear in like those like Exorcist or like Omen types of movies. That haunting type of like interlude, which is very scary. And the last song, Genesis chapter 1, verse 32. And this was taken from the Bible verse, which I believe is the creation of man. I like this one a lot. It reminded me a lot of like an Alice Cooper song. I think it was like the song Stephen from Welcome to My Nightmare. But this is an instrumental. It follows that haunting tone like the previous song. Not really as scary as the one before, but really good instrumental closing, just lots of different instruments, and you know, that's all I have to say about this one. So in conclusion, this is definitely a great album from the 70s. If you like progressive rock, if you're a fan of Pink Floyd, you can definitely get into this album. You know, the band in general, Alan Parsons, you know, it's a really good album, and I make the Pink Floyd comparison because Alan Parsons actually worked on Dark Side of the Moon. You know, he has a really impressive resume. So I definitely recommend you check out this band. Very underrated. I know Alan Parsons will have a solo album coming up, and I will review that when it comes out. I think it might be in about 2 weeks or so. So please remember, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.